Well, hello. Welcome to Alyssa Jean's Reviews. My name is Alyssa, and this is my monthly trans life video for May of 2022. This would be 21 months on HRT for me. So I do these videos every month. I try to do at least one video per month that I get to talk about my life as a trans woman, how things are going, give an HRT update, and sometimes I do another topic as well. In this video, I do want to talk a little bit about this rally that I went to last week in support of trans kids here in my home state of Oregon. So I want to talk a little bit about that experience and my thoughts on that issue overall, though I'm not going to get too deep into that. I typically don't do these deep dives into issues at large because one, it makes me depressed, and two, like, there are some really, really popular YouTubers who do a very, very good job of that, and I'll defer to them, such as Jesse Gender and Samantha Lux. So I don't usually get into that stuff too much, but I do want to talk a little bit about that rally in support of trans kids. And first, I'll give a little bit of my monthly trans life update and HRT update, which honestly don't have a whole lot to talk about this month. Not a whole lot has changed, except I'm trying different hair colors. So this is an Arctic Fox color. I did Arctic Fox last time. It's a semi-permanent brand that's vegan and cruelty-free and all this great stuff. And it's made by another YouTuber, actually. It's her line. Forget her name. I haven't actually watched her videos, but I've heard she's on YouTube. Tend to watch videos of other people using her products so that I can see how it looks. So I did purple before. This is the poison color. It's red, but it doesn't look as red on me as it might on other people. It just should be like fire engine red, but because my hair was already dark, I didn't bleach it or anything. Next month, I don't know. Yeah, because it lasts about 30 to 40 days. So once this wears off, who knows which direction I'll go. I think I'm going to start mixing things together. Do a little mad scientist. Anyways, nothing really has changed. So I'm talking about my hair. I always keep track of my breast development, and it definitely has been some growth in that area. It's still happening, hasn't stopped yet. I've heard about 2 years is normal. How long that lasts, I've also heard that it can continue beyond 2 years. And then, I don't know, a few months ago, then my doctor said, oh yeah, well, it's going to stop in about a year and a half into it. I'm like, but that's not what I've ever heard before. And I'm beyond a year and a half, and it's still developing. So there you go. So I don't know. So that definitely, you can't really tell on this video, especially with this dress. And then just, I don't know, you can't tell, but it is happening. You have to take my word for it. So that is happening. Otherwise, yeah, I don't have a whole lot to talk about this month. Next month is going to be Pride Month. So there are some things I want to talk about. I want to get into another topical video. I want to talk about language and how it is used around trans issues and LGBTQ issues in general, because I've had some interesting experiences around language and different perceptions of language, even within the community itself, which I find very interesting. And I've been wanting to do a video on that, but I just haven't had the energy. But it's Pride Month next month, so I'll do that. And it's going to be my first in-person Pride, so I'm going to go to the celebration and the parade in my hometown, so probably want to talk about that. So that'll be fun. So next month is Pride Month. I'll do more stuff. Yeah, I guess I'll talk about this rally that I went to last Friday. I didn't get any trans flags, but someone handed me the gender fluid flag, so I have that. So I live in Oregon. It was in the capital of Oregon ahead of our elections. So we right now have pretty good laws on the books in support of trans people. Healthcare for me, super easy, barely inconvenience compared to people in other states. I've definitely gone on message boards and Reddit and Facebook groups and things like that where other people talk about their experience in other states and all the hoops they have to jump through to even get their name changed, and it's set up for us pretty easy compared to other states in the U.S. And we don't have any of those oppressive trans laws yet. But the thing about Oregon is it is blue because of Portland and the college towns. And maybe Salem to some degree, but mostly Portland, and that's where all the population is. But the rest of the state is very conservative, so there's always the danger of, if we elect a Republican governor, which is totally possible, or more Republican legislators, that Oregon trans kids could be under attack as they are in other states. So they wanted to hold this rally ahead of the election, just so show support for trans kids. Unfortunately, it's Oregon in May, so it's either going to be sunny and beautiful or it's going to be pouring rain, and it happened to be one of the pouring rain days, and so it wasn't as many people there as I had hoped there would be. But considering that it was pouring down rain the whole time, there was quite a few people there. So, but it was very inspiring and depressing at the same time. Since it was, in support of trans youth, most of the speakers were trans youth, which I really appreciated. We had our governor come out, and I'm glad she was there. It was very nice of her to show up, but she wasn't the most interesting speech of the evening. It was hearing from the trans youth, and I went with a really good friend of mine who, learned some things. She was enlightened by a lot of the things that the kids were saying, and I was like, yeah. It wasn't, definitely a lot of their experiences I relate to, even though they're talking about going through high school out as a trans kid and what that experience is like. And I was going through high school completely in the closet, still having all of these thoughts about wanting to be a woman and always wanting to have a strong desire to dress up like in women's clothing, and I would always think about it all the time, but I didn't understand that I was trans. So I had a very different experience of high school than these kids had, but a lot of the feelings that they expressed I really, really related to. Going through life as a trans teenager, and I didn't realize I was a trans teenager at the time because I was still presenting myself as male, but in retrospect I very much was. I just didn't have the language for it, and I talked to my friend about this after we left. I was kind of explaining to her how my experiences relate to the experiences of these kids. Yeah, so, and in a lot of ways they have it better because at least they have the language. At least they are able to be out, and they understand what it is that they are, and they there's enough other people like them that they see around them that they feel comfortable being out, which I did not have at all. I had no understanding of what I was. Wouldn't have felt comfortable coming out if I did. And yet, they are constantly attacked. Now it's interesting. One of the things that really struck me was one of the kids was talking about how they have two cousins in Texas who are also trans, and how their day-to-day life in Texas, in the Texas school, is not drastically different from their day-to-day life here in Oregon and Oregon school. Now, it wasn't in Portland. It was one of the suburbs of Portland. It's a little more conservative, so maybe the school district is a little more conservative, but still not treated super well, and bullied. That's the thing. You're bullied constantly. I was bullied too, but not specifically because I was trans, because I wasn't out. I was just bullied because I just didn't fit in. But they're bullied because they're trans, and so their day-to-day life, that kid here in Oregon, not totally different than their cousins in Texas. So that was kind of depressing, but also interesting to hear that we still have a lot of work to do, even in this state where the perception is the laws are pretty good, which is a good thing. There was another kid who spoke who moved up from Arizona and really is loving it compared to having been in Arizona. And that was even before they started passing the really oppressive laws. So there's a lot we can be proud of, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Even in one of the quote-unquote better states, there's still a lot of work to be done. So it was very inspiring because to see these youth come out and be able to speak up for themselves and have take power and take control of their situation was inspiring. But it's very depressing because these youth have to go up there and speak up for themselves and they can't have a freaking childhood. I think one of the speakers said that, yeah, hey, I got a great idea. Could I have a childhood, please? That would be great. Thanks. So, and you know, I don't know if I've mentioned this in another video or not, but one thing that I think about a lot that is how I think what's really going to help us more than anything is just having people, be around us more. Well, someone's going to say be exposed, then somebody would say, and I make a dirty joke in the comments if I use the word expose, but be around us more often, and just like I dealt with through my work as a teacher, special ed teacher, dealt with a pretty conservative family who was pretty hesitant about me when I came out at first, but then now they use my pronouns, they use my proper name, because they saw that I'm just a person who is doing great work with their disabled son, and I'm just a human being. And I think we need a lot more of that. People to just see we're just people trying to exist, because when they don't see that in person, all they have is Fox News or their racist and transphobic neighbors or whatever, and they don't get to see that we're not at all what people say we are on Fox News or other anti-transphobe or anti-trans outlets, anti-trans YouTube channels, whatever, that we are actually not any of those things. All those motivations that TERFs say that we have, or that transphobes say that we have, we don't actually have those motivations. We just want to exist. That's our motivation. We just want to be left alone. That's it. And I think once people get more exposed to that, then there I went and used that word. they see that for themselves. Like, all the things I heard on Fox News don't seem to actually be true. Now, of course, there's always going to be your hardcore transphobes and TERFs who just will never believe anything other than what they believe. They've convinced themselves of this anti-trans message for whatever reason, because of their own insecurities, their own fear and hatred. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on in their brains, but it'll never change for some of those people. But I think for the just the average person, I think it is helpful, and I think that's why for a little while things were looking a lot better for the LGBTQ community in general, especially the lesbian and gay communities, because of that. And then it started being on TV more, and people started getting more used to it, and people started realizing, hey, my cousins and brothers and sisters are gay, and people started becoming more comfortable with it. Now the lesbian and gay community are facing renewed attacks again. There's the Florida laws, of course, the Don't Say Gay bill. I'm seeing a lot more talk about conversion therapies coming back and those sorts of things. So it still exists, but it definitely, I think, got better because of people just being around it more, and I think that's really the best thing that can happen. And hopefully there'll come a time where these anti-trans laws will just not be that popular anymore. But long, hard fight before we get to that point. I'm not saying we just sit back and just hang out with everybody and that's going to solve all the problems. There's got to be some fighting back as well, or we'll never get to that point. But I definitely think that would be part of it. And there was one kid who was speaking at this rally who kept using the refrain, "I am not a monster. I am not a monster." And I think that's what people just really got to realize. And they're honestly not going to realize that by somebody making a speech saying I am not a monster. They're going to realize that by just kind of being around them and realizing we're just like people. Anyways, so I guess I went on a little bit longer than I thought I would. I wasn't planning on talking that much about this, but thank you for indulging me this month for my kind of trans life, kind of HRT update, though I barely talked about that. But I do like to get one video per month out there where I talk about something related to trans life. Anyways, I'll see you next month. It's Pride Month. I got a lot of things happening. Please subscribe if you have not already. Check out my calendar. I got some things happening for Pride Month. And I got a special Nostalgia Lane review. If you don't know, I do a Nostalgia Lane review every month where I review a film from my past that I haven't seen in a while. I got a special Pride Month themed one next month I'm excited about doing. Anyways, thank you guys and girls and non-binary people. I always want to say guys as an all-purpose gender term, and I need to stop that habit. Okay. I will see you all later. Goodbye.